Well, it is very warm for the Mara today, probably close to 30 degrees, and I'm a little bit envious of the buffalo wallowing in the mud, keeping nice and cool and keeping the biting flies at bay. My name is Brent Leo Smith. I have Jahawi on camera, and we are, as I said, ecstatic to take you on a game drive this afternoon, 100% live from one of the most iconic wilderness destinations in the world. Now, we do apologize for being a little bit late this afternoon. So when you live out in the African bush, you do have sometimes certain things that are unavoidable, and this time of the year, with a lot of the big storms and lightning around, the power lines get whacked and whatnot. Now, we have a complete backup system that runs final control and all of that. However, sometimes you get caught by unforeseen circumstance. And the unforeseen circumstance today is that when the power is out, the fuel pump doesn't work. So we had to hand pump, windy. Fortunately, we have Shadi and Stephen, our mechanics, who are there today, who kindly did the pumping for us. So, but it is a lot of work, and that's why we're a little bit late. Jamie is on her way down shortly behind us, but it is one of those funny things. I mean, when was the last time you heard about hand pumping fuel into a car? Now, of course, I'm not talking about hand pumping where you drive up to the fuel station, take the pump out and pull the button. It's literally, it's a very old system. You put it onto a 200-litre drum, and it's got a windy handle, and then you've got to wind the handle. And let's think, these tanks are 90 litres, which is about 90 litres. So it takes more than one person to fill a tank, let me put it that way. It is quite tiring. But these are the little adventures we have out here. Now, I have been putting a lot of time and effort into the crossings, waiting to catch the next zebra crossing. So I was not out this morning, so I think I'm going to go take a meander. What I'm hoping is that the zebra herd has built bigger. The Paradise Pride are not lying openly, keeping them from the crossings, and they're going to cross probably tomorrow morning, so I think that might be my plan. Now, also remember, as we are live and we're on a game drive, I expect lots of good questions from all of you out there, and if you're wondering how do you send me a question, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube or wherever you might be watching, there's a platform for you to ask questions, and I'd love to hear from you. Now, while we wait for your grey matter to turn so you can think of a very good question for me to answer, I will ask you a question. And let's think, what quiz should we have today? I think let's let Megan decide. Megan, what type of quiz do you want? Animal, bird, grass? Let us know. Megan in final. There you go. Meg says not capitals. So I have an ongoing joke with Megs where I ask her capitals. It's definitely going to be capitals. Okay. So everyone out there, without using Google, no cheating. What is the capital? Oh no, I've got a double-barreled. What is the latest and newest country in Africa, and what is its capital? Aha. That's a good one. Hashtag Safari Live if you know the answer. Well, we've been chatting about our fuel issues, and Take Care is wondering, do we carry spare fuel? Not normally, Take Care, so because, as I said, on about 90 litres, we should get about 700, 800 kilometers off a tank. And even when we go across for 3 days, we probably do about 400 to 500. So we do have spare. We don't like to let our cars go below half, though, because you never know when you might be out for a long time. But we do have jerry cans, so sometimes if we know we're going across the river for longer than 3 or 4 days, we will take a spare jerry can with us. Normally we'll take it while we drive, then we'll just leave it at either Sala's or Shaiki while we're out and drive, and only fill up when we need to. So yes, we do sometimes take spare fuel with us, but normally it's not necessary. you can see there's big storm around, well, outside of the park at the moment, but beyond Talek. Actually, Talek's in it. I think this storm is very big. It's covering all there. Let's hope it stays on that side of the river for today. Ah, well done, Bedhead Tom. The newest country in Africa is indeed South Sudan. We might, depending on what happens, be adding another country in the near future, depending on what happens in Western Sahara. But yes, Bedhead Tom is spot on. The newest country in Africa is South Sudan, and the capital is... I'm still waiting. Now, while we wait for you to figure out... there we go. Joy and Aaron are spot on, correct. It is indeed Djuma. Now, I've been to Djuma once for a very short period. Really pretty. Reading is the, well, we don't know for sure at the moment. I think they're what is war zone. The wildlife, and apology. The largest. Sorry about that, folks, but it seems like we're back. Alex has done some wizardry up on the hill, and we're back. Now, we were chatting about South Sudan, and my particular interest in South Sudan is it is incredible that even through all the years of civil war, one of the largest, well, the largest wildlife migration, large mammal migration in Africa has survived. And that move, it is mostly white-eared cob that move from the Sud into the open grasslands of, I can't remember the name of the national park, I'll remember just now. And there's lots of elephants, lions. They're not sure whether there's any rhino left. It's a very low possibility, but there could be, and you never know. Wonderful miracles can happen. But yeah, so it's definitely one of the countries that's very high up on my wish list of places to go. Once it's obviously a bit more safe. Hopefully in my lifetime it will become, because I would absolutely love to explore that area of South Sudan. I think it's got massive tourism and potential in the future, and exciting spot. There's quite a few exciting spots in Africa that I still want to get to, that I haven't been to yet. Another one is probably on par with wanting to go to South Sudan, is to go to the eastern part of Central African Republic, where you've got savannas with Lord Derby's eland and lion, and these forest tongues with lowland gorillas and chimpanzees and bongos, and sort of hybrids between forest buffalo and savannah buffalo, and forest ellies and savannah ellies, all within the same ecosystem, which I think would just be absolutely mind-blowing. So while I'm chatting about certain spots that I would love to go to in Africa, why don't you guys let me know, some of you, where you would like to go? Of course, I'm guessing there's going to be a few Djumas and a few Masai Maras in there. Maybe outside of the Sabi Sands and the Masai Mara, what part of Africa would you like to visit? And maybe we can have a chat about it. I'm quite lucky. I've been to more countries and more parks and concessions in Africa than in my short 34 years than most people get to do in a lifetime. So maybe I can give you some advice, or chat about an area that you might want to visit outside of Djuma and the Masai Mara, of course. Hashtag Safari Live, let me know. Looking forward to hearing about it, actually. Now, I'm hoping, while we bumble along quietly towards the crossings, I'm hoping we get some nice Ellie action. I really think I've been missing Eddie's mud bathing for a while, so I'm hoping as we go around close to Majandege, there might be some Ellies in the heats playing in the mud. Now, Strawhead says Botswana tickles my fancy. Well, Strawhead, good, thanks. How are you? Strawhead, Botswana is a place I actually know very, very well. I spent a lot of years. Do they want to talk to us? Okay. How's he gone? Okay. So I lived in Botswana for about 10 years. All my teenage years were actually pretty much in Botswana. So I was very lucky. And the one thing I do love about northern Botswana in particular is the diversity, from the panhandle of the Okavango, where you've got a massive river with huge papyrus swamps spreading in all directions, with sitatungas and large crocodiles and hippopotamus and tiger fish and nemwe and other things. And as it starts spreading out, and you've got these incredible tree islands with African mangosteens and giant jackalberries and leadwoods, and then on the peripheries, where you've got the grasslands that come up to the edge of the Okavango, where you've got those massive herds of buffalo, 2,000, and lions all around, incredible population of African wild dogs, cheetah, and then you leave the delta, and there's a zebra migration, a massive zebra migration, where they come down from the salt pans in Naipan to the Bateti River, and I do miss it. Ah. Now, yeah, but
very good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari. My name is Jamie and this afternoon Archie is on camera with me, and I'm very sorry because Brent's disappeared off your screen, and if I go too much further forward I might too. So it hasn't gone very well so far, has it? So you can get hold of us on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Would you like to see some impala while we sit here and hope that Brent manages to find some signal? Because I think if I go any further we're going to find ourselves with a slight problem. The car's groaning. She's having to hold herself upwards on the hill. We were nearly there, we were so close. I think that Brent's explained the issues that we've had today in terms of fueling and making sure we actually can drive the cars around. But we're back up and running. And there is a ground hornbill over there. Look at that, Archie. Can you see it all the way over there towards the trees? I just saw it running. Here it is. A ground hornbill at quite a fair distance away. So already, even though we're just sitting on our way down into the reserve, and we're not quite officially in the reserve yet, we've managed to see all sorts of exciting things. Ground hornbills stalking around the rocks, looking for insects, snakes, rodents. They're particularly powerful predators. Snails, perhaps, although I never see snails down on the Mara floor. I see them around camp, but never down on the floor. Don't know if that's because no, I think we would see them. I was digging through dung. Digging through piles of dung over there and searching for beetles. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a juggle here. I'm going to go through some bad signal to get into the reserve. Brent has found some signal, so let's head back across to him.
Hello! Welcome back. Sorry about that, Joy. I was chatting about Namibia, where you are planning to go. Oh dear. And I was just trying to remember a story, but I remember the story, I just can't remember all the players in the story. So as I said, I actually haven't been to Etosha and those areas. I've spent some time around Windhoek and a place called Gubabis, which is quite close to Charles Hill, which is on the border of Botswana. But I've spent a significant amount of time in the Caprivi Strip, which is this tiny sliver of land between Botswana about Count Caprivi. Now, someone in the British government managed to con Count Caprivi. So he was, I think, the German in charge of. I'll have to double check this. I will make sure I get the story right, but I'll give you the gist of it. So the British traded this little strip of land that was part of the Bechuana land, which is Botswana, to German Southwest Africa, which was Namibia. This information. Zambezi was navigable from all the way to the coast. So now connect the east coast of Africa, and with being able to sorry about more black at Katima. The Zambezi is a couple of 100 meters wide. It's deep. You can run big boats on it. But of course, that's on the Barotse floodplain. So that whole area is the upper Zambezi floodplains. The river's very wide. You can run big boats but probably it's not far, probably about 100 or so kilometers downstream. There's a bit of a problem. Well, the first bit of a problem is the Kasane Rapids, which are a rocky set of rapids, and the Mampande Rapids, which are quite close to Kasane as well. But you can't really if you know what you're doing in a light aluminium speedboat, sorry about that, you can navigate up and down those rapids, but you really got to know what you're doing on that boat. And you can't definitely take a big ship down, or a steamboat. But now there's a whole bunch of these little rapids, Mampande, Kasani, and they go on and on and on. But there's a very big major problem. It's called Victoria Falls. So that you can't navigate down that in a boat. You will die. And then there was Kariba Gorge, then there's Kaboa Bassa Gorge. So basically the British sold this German down the river. Now I'm trying to remember what they swapped for it, and it was a very important swap because that island became very important. I think it was in World War I or World War II. But I'm going to have to have a double check on that. But it sounds like while I double check my facts because I'm getting older and forgetting things, let's go see Jamie, who's made it all the way down into the reserve.
We have indeed made it into the reserve. Shall we try that all again? A very good afternoon, and I apologize for our late descent to the reserve. We just needed to get some fuel in Mila so that she could, well, take us on a safari. So the plan, while Brent checks his facts about Namibia and whatever else he wants to check up on, the plan is for us to go and check up on the Angama Pride. Now this morning, shame, I still feel bad about it. This morning one female warthog lost her entire litter of piglets to them. She only had 3, and they took out 3 in one foul swoop. But they were so hungry and the piglets were small that the lionesses didn't share at all. So there's one hungry lioness and the rest of the cubs are still very, very hungry and looking a little thin. Still perfectly healthy. Lions go through phases where they look full and then they look thin. It depends on whether or not they've been successful. And they're very resilient to it. But the cubs are they're also going through that gangly, rapid growth phase. They have got that gangly teenage look, like they've been stretched. But I still would like to know whether or not the Angamas managed to catch anything from when we left them this morning. Palin, I'm trying to think if there's any animals that have benefited from the creation of the dirt roads. I'm thinking maybe the predators in a very small way, but I'm not sure that that's a very balanced view. But the reason I say that is just because they can walk along them and they're quite silent, but animals have game paths for that as well. That's before there were roads, animals walked on elephant paths, hippo paths, whatever else it happened to be. But now they do use roads, and they almost seem to use them at times as territorial boundaries. And they do use the way that the roads have been constructed here to stalk their prey, like they would use a termite mound, for example. But I'm hesitant to say that because ultimately, to be 100% honest, a road with vehicle traffic obviously is compacted, and it's compacted to the point that it provides a very, very easy passage for water to travel along. And as a result, it can actually, if you don't manage it properly, you can actually really upset the water table. You can upset the flow of underground water and which way it goes. So what they do oh, excuse me, getting allergies just thinking about it. What they do is they dig something known as a mitre drain, and I must say the mitre drains here are very, very impressive. And the mitre drain runs across, this is an example of one, but it's not a very clear example, run out from the side of the road and essentially redirect the water back into where it should be. I'm hesitant to say that roads have ever really benefited. Nightjars sit on roads. They like to be on roads. A lot of the animals like the roads at night because they're warm. They retain the heat, so they go and they lie on them, like they do with tarmac airstrips. Animals like to go on a cold winter's morning and lie there. So I guess that would be examples of how they've benefited, but ultimately I think they are a necessity rather than something that we could say did good. I'm just going to wait for this vehicle to come past so that we can breathe. I wonder, do you think those lions are where I left them? Somehow doubt it. I'm just going to wait for the dust to settle a little. Oh, I was going to collect in the camera. Okay. Oof, still there. Right, let's go and see if the lions are where we left them. Not too fast though. It's amazing how after the biggest rains it gets dusty so quickly. Brent, I can't think of any dam building animals in Africa. So we don't get the equivalent of a beaver that would dam up a small stream in the way that they do. We've got the opposite, if that helps. I mean, I'm racking my brains trying to think of a good example. I'm racking my brains trying to think if there are any. There might be, perhaps in a very small way, some sort of fish or some sort of crab. This is a mitre drain, by the way. Sorry, hold that thought, Brent. This is a mitre drain. So you can see how it's been dug so that the gravity pushes the water back down along there. So the water will flow down something like that and then ultimately back into the environment that it's meant to be in, as opposed to flowing down roads. Hippos do the opposite of dam building. They're actually essential for keeping waterways open. Their constant movement, because of course hippos don't swim, they don't doggy paddle on the surface of the water, they sink below the surface of the water and they walk. And as a result, there's a lot of research that suggests that they do tremendous benefit in cleaning up a system, in helping to unblock waterways. Birds, even the biggest nest builders of the bird families tend to be in trees or on floating reeds or something like that. Good question though. Okay. Alright, now we've just got to hope the lions are here. We've spoken about this quite a few times, but essentially the Angama's territory, the lion territory, is between an area where you can off-road and an area where you can't off-road. That main road that I was on is the dividing point. And unfortunately, up until recently, they've been spending a lot of time on the non-off-roading area, which means that the times that we have seen them, unless they're next to the road, they tend to be very, very far away. Or moving very far away. Myrna? No, there unfortunately is not. There is no corridor for the animals to travel from the Mara to the Kruger, and in fact you'll probably have found that even in times before people blocked up natural migration routes and fenced everything, you would have found that it's unlikely that animals were covering that sort of distance. I mean, we're halfway across Africa and it is a massive, massive continent. So no, there's no corridor that runs between here and the Kruger National Park. And you'd find it wouldn't be necessary. Well, I mean, there are other corridors that are more necessary than a corridor in that sense. And I mean, to create a corridor that goes through, and you'd have to go through Tanzania, Malawi probably, possibly a little portion of Zambia, Botswana. Oof, that would be quite an undertaking. And then you've got to manage the animals, because certain countries will have better systems of protection or different systems of protection. This is where I left them, by the way. Having a drink in this puddle. There's a lot of ostriches here, looking very relaxed. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the lions are no longer here. given how relaxed these ostriches look, and the buffalo behind them. Okay, so we're going to now start searching in earnest for our lions. Let's go across to Brent, who has found something that would definitely keep them well fed.
Look at that. It is a massive buffalo bull. Definitely one of the biggest sets of horns I've seen in the Mara. Incredible spread on that big boy. You can see, it almost looks like his horns are incredibly heavy. He's keeping his head lower than the other buffalo. All been chilling in the swamp. Now, as the buffalo wander off, I'm just going to... Actually, no. Joy in Hong Kong is wondering what is the evolutionary connection between buffalo, cattle, and antelope. Well, they're all under the same order, which is Bovididae. So they're all bovids, which means they are ruminants, which means they have 4 stomachs and are able to chew the cud. So they're able to bring food up and chew it again and make sure they get as much nutrients. Now, as in terms of their evolutionary connection, they will have a common ancestor, say, somewhere way back when. I'm not exactly sure. So, Joy, you've given me some homework. I need to go research that. Cattle and buffalo, however, split more recently. But not too recently. And all I know is you wouldn't want to try to domesticate buffalo. Bad-tempered old things. Now, I was telling you about the Caprivi strip, and I got a little bit wrong. That's why I wanted to just double-check my facts there. The Caprivi strip and the Hiegoland Islands in the North Sea were traded by the English for the Sultanate of Zanzibar. So before that, Zanzibar was under German rule. Now, the British then took over Zanzibar, which became a very important part of controlling East Africa, specifically during World War I and World War II. There we go, buffaloes. Okay, there's some giraffe a little bit down the road. Let's see if we can get to them. I was hoping to see giraffe. Well, socially awkward girl, I'm here to oblige. And so is that young male giraffe. There you go. Man. There we go, a young male giraffe of the Maasai variety. These are called Maasai giraffe. So they are slightly different from the ones we get in South Africa. Cameleopardus tippleskirchii. And we're just talking about Count Caprivi. I'm pretty sure Tippleskirch was a count as well. The man who the Maasai giraffe, the scientific name, is made up of. Am I going mad? I'm sure he was a count. Oh dear. What is happening to my brain, everyone? Getting muddled up. There we go. Tippleskirchii is one of the subspecies, of course, as I said, Maasai giraffe. I'm just trying to remember. If he was a count, I'm pretty sure he was a count. I can't remember at the moment. I think he was. And probably Tippleskirchii. Is that another German count? Well, I'm trying to remember whether the giraffe was named after a count or not, Jessica would like to know, what is my favorite fact about a giraffe? I think it is the fact that NASA used a giraffe to base some of their first spacesuits on. So if we have a look at their legs, so being incredibly tall, and they've got a lot of blood and a very big heart, and likewise they need that big heart to pump all the way up their head, but they need a very tight skin that constricts so all the blood doesn't flow down to their feet too quickly. And basically the undersuit that NASA and the guys trying to break the speed of sound record and all that as a very tight fitting suit, and they used legs of giraffe as the original design for trying to figure out how not to kill the astronauts and people trying to go way too fast. Yes, anyway, I think that's my favourite fact about giraffe. Okay, we're going to keep trundling along down towards the Mara River crossings, see if we can find the paradise pride of lions, and see if the zebras have been building up, and also try to run away from the rain that's coming. Head off. Let's go across to Jamie, who's sticking up in the north.
I am indeed sticking up in the north. I'm trying to find these lions, but they've vanished. How far could they possibly? I suppose they could have gone quite far. It wasn't that hot this morning. There was a cool breeze, and the sun was shining, but there's a good chance they actually went wandering quite far, especially if they were as hungry as they were. The one thing that's worrying me is if they've gone in this forest over here. Oh, my dust. There we go. They've gone into that forest. We're in serious, well, we're not in serious trouble. We'll find something else. But if they've gone in there, my very first time following the Angamas at night, they went in there, and oh, he thinks I've seen something, and I tried to follow them in. It was a mistake. It was a serious error in judgment. Hi. Just looking at the view. When I left them, they were there. I don't know where they've gone now. Pardon? That's what I'm thinking. I'm just going to do a loop round here. Okay, good luck. These guys. Okay. Right. Now he's going to head down and check that side. He was convinced we'd seen something. And it's quiet out here. Pardon? No, you can wipe now, not a problem. You can just give it a cursory wipe. So apparently Megs has just told us that there's a smudge on our lens. We do apologise. So Arch was a little bit worried about wiping while we're live, because there we go. Better? All better. Perfect. Well done, Archie. Oh, have we spotted something? No, we've spotted a lilac-breasted roller. So yes, we have spotted something. A lilac-breasted roller sitting in the top part of that tree. I was just wondering why the car in front of us had stopped. Quite clearly new guests here. cool. Which way should we go, Archie? That way? I think we should go that way. So that bird, for those of you that are new to these live safaris, is a lilac-breasted roller. And what we always encourage our viewers to do, and most, or quite a few people do it, is to keep a record of all of the different birds that we show. It's a great way of learning the different birds. It's a great place to start birding as well, because we'll tell you exactly what they are, and we've got the capacity to zoom in on them, which of course you can do with binoculars, but often when you're trying to find a bird, it's flown away or you don't get a chance to look at it. So it's a great way to start birding if that is something that you're interested in. And then you can start a bird list both from here in Kenya and in South Africa as well, because of course we will be joined a little bit later by our group, or by our crew in South Africa. Did we find them? Or did we find a lilac-breasted roller? Okay, so apparently the smudge is still remains. We don't know where it came from, but it apparently is quite determined to remain there. Archie's going to try and give it another jolly good wipe. And of course poor Brent is struggling with signal at the moment, so poor Archie has to do it. Better? He's still there. My goodness, what is this? You can see it. Archie says he can see it, but is it perhaps not on the surface of the lens? There's Archie's face popping around. Oh, poor Archie. Everybody can wave hello to him. I love how you changed the focus there quickly. That was very quick. Okay, Megs, I don't know if you want us to do a thorough cleaning, or if we have to sort of settle for the smudge. Okay, Meg says yes, please. Can you see it there, Archie, or no? Okay, he can't see it on the... I don't know if it's not a problem with the camera. Nothing. Okay, good luck. Oh dear. Okay. David, the rarest bird I have ever seen. Well, you see, rare for me, I suppose, is a little different. It's rare for me because I got so excited about seeing it. But they are quite rare birds. And that was the shoebull that we saw in Uganda. That was, for me, I think, the rarest bird that I've ever seen. I've seen the blue crane, which is endangered. It's the national bird of South Africa. So I've seen a blue crane before, obviously. All South Africans will have seen them at one point or another. And in fact, I saw a blue crane bite my friend on the bottom. Same friend's sister got bitten on the bottom by a pelican. It was an odd day. Very odd day. I'm sure there's lions over there. There might be hartebeest. We were at a bird park, and there were some birds that apparently had developed this habit. What is the rarest bird I've ever seen? I'm trying to think what other rare birds I've seen. The great blue turaco was very exciting, but that was because it was something I was really, really excited to see. I wouldn't say it's the rarest bird. There's lots of palm nut vultures. I have seen one, but there's lots of palm nut vultures. Okay, we're going to give this some jolly good thought. Archie's going to apply himself to the lens, and I'm going to apply myself to the rarest bird that I've ever seen. We'll send you across to Brent, who has found you an animal that's not all that rare at all.
No, and normally at this time of the day, they're in the water. But we're quite lucky here in the Mara that they do come out of the water quite often. And there we go, you can see just having a graze. Now there's a bit of cloud cover, so no risk of a sunburn for the hippopotamus. I think he's probably been lying in one of the little luggers close by here, but while it's nice and cool and there's some cloud cover, decided to take the opportunity to get a munch. Now where we are at the moment, you can see these very distinct sort of patches of long and short grass, and these short grass patches are actually maintained by the hippos. They're what you call hippo lawns. So there we go. If you come through here at night, you can sometimes see 30 or 40 hippos on one of these little lawns munching away. Now, of course, the hippos maintain the lawns, and what that also does do is it brings in other animals that like short grass, like Thompson's gazelle, topi, and they all come and graze on these lawns as well, because the hippos have done the gardening for them. Hey, hippopotamus. Galen says, I think he's got such a good smile. Well, I think he's giving us a bit of the evil eye. So sometimes they can be a little bit more worried out of the water, so he's just trying to make sure that we're not a threat. And you can see now that he's decided that he's not 100% comfortable with this yet, but he did take a bite. Shame piece. Well, let him, we'll not disturb him any further, because I think he will keep moving away from us if we stay here too long. He's just not feeling too comfortable out of the water. So we're having a lovely little bumble down the river here, and checking very carefully for any cats. Benoli is wondering, why are hippos more active at night? Well, it's quite simple. They don't like the sun. Their skin needs to remain moist, and the sun dries it out, can crack and cause bleeding. They actually even secrete an oily sun cream-like substance around their ears and eyes and patches that go into the sun a lot. So the reason they're active at night is to avoid the sun, and that's why they go grazing in the dark. Okay. Now, actually thinking about it, I haven't seen lions in this little stretch for a really long time. Hi, Kathy. Kathy's wondering, have I ever been to Uganda? Yes, I have, actually. I got back from Uganda about 2-3 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. We went on holiday to Uganda. We stayed Nile River, water rafting down the Nile, and then we spent a few nights on an island in the middle of the Nile River. It was lots of fun. And the next trip to Uganda, I intend to do further to the west, Murchiston Falls, the Riddenzuris, and that area. So I don't like to rush if I'm going to a country, so I'd rather do one side properly and then come back and do the other side, rather than try and move around too much on holiday, and all you end up doing is actually packing and unpacking your bag constantly. But it's quite quiet down on the riverside so far. Could that mean it's because there's a predator lurking? I don't think so, though. Not at the moment. I am feeling lucky though today. I'm feeling lucky. Lucky. Oh, so lucky. What are we going to find while I'm feeling lucky? Hello, Joy! Joy's definitely winning the questions today, sending lots through. Good on you, Joy. Joy would like to know, do the Paradise Pride cross the river? Constantly. Probably 3 or 4 times a week. they cross the river. The lions tend to cross in the more rocky areas where there's less chance of being by a crocodile. So I was actually telling Jahawi a story at the beginning of drive about when we first arrived in the Mara, and we weren't broadcasting regularly from the Mara yet. We were still setting everything up, and Eggsy was with me, and we were on the other side looking for the Paradise Pride, and we found some of the lionesses fighting with crocodiles over a buffalo carcass. So what happened is I stopped because I thought I saw a lion, and I did probably something like this. Where are my binoculars? Where are my binoculars? And I got my binoculars out. Oopsie. Got my binoculars out, and I just heard this. But louder than that. And I was like, what is that? And then I heard the lions growling, and then I realized it was lions fighting with crocodiles. So that was quite a cool sighting. The lions won that time. But the crocodiles, I'm sure if I'd had the opportunity to go back there during the night, I think that battle would have carried on. But unfortunately, we couldn't. We had places to go and cats to find. Palin is wondering how often are lions taken by crocodiles. It's impossible to know for sure, but not that often. Maybe younger ones and cubs more often. Is there a car behind us? No? No? No, I'm not causing traffic jams. Not that often. It's always difficult to see because sometimes you find a lion bride and now one of the cubs is missing. You don't know whether it was killed by another male, was it killed by a buffalo, was it killed by a hippo, was it eaten by a crocodile? Can be sometimes a little bit difficult to say. You just know that there is no longer a lion cub. It's gone. Gone skis. Okay, dokie. So Megs, Jahawi, this is for Archie on that issue. If it is one of the cameras that they need to take it off ND2, and that should fix the problem. It's a problem with the ND filter. So we're passing on a message for Archie. Let's see. Cool, then let them know. This is always a good spot. Lions like to hang around here, but I'm 100% certain there are no lions because one of the animals with the best eyes in the bush and keeps a close out for predators like lions and would be shouting if they saw some. Now, these olive baboons are very fluffy and they look a bit bigger than our chakmas, but I think it's mostly hair. Oh, there's a little one playing alongside there. Hello, little Bubba. Are you trying to drink? It's trying to drink while Mom is moving, I think. Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing. Isn't that cute? But Mom, I'm thirsty. But I find the alarm call of the olive baboon quite special in comparison. Oh, yeah, going cowboy style. In comparison. Oh, look. Is that a yummy? What have you got there? What has he got? A little piece of grass. That's a toy. And they sort of have a very... You expect them to have like a big, deep bark, even deeper than a chakma's. But it sort of goes... Boo, boo. It's quite funny when they do alarm call. Yeah, you, little horror. He's got his piece of grass to play with there. Now, it looks that she's actually eating grass seeds at the moment. So, baboons are very much omnivores. So, fruits, grasses, insect, rodents, birds, eggs, the occasional baby Thompson's gazelle or impala. Oh, whoopsie! Ah, there we go. It seems like Jahawi is the master of cameras and has managed to help Archie fix his problem. So let's go see how and where. Oh dear! Oh my goodness! Whoops-a-daisy! Oh, shame. That looked like quite the fall. Back up he goes. Very cute. Okay, let's go see what Archie and Jamie are up to up north in the Mara.
We're driving around looking for the lions. Poor Archie. Here we are accusing him of not wiping the lens and telling him to wipe the lens, and it turns out it was a problem with one of the filters all along. No, we are up and running. At first we thought it was a lens problem and we couldn't work it out, so we did what people always do when something doesn't work. We turned it off and on a few times and then smacked it around. No, I'm joking. But yep, we have solved the problem and we're back up and running, and we're still just doing a quick loop. Otherwise, what I'm going to do, I think if we don't find them here, there is a very good chance that they're asleep in the grass where it would be almost impossible for us to spot them. So what we'll do is we'll leave and then we'll come back this way as we reach evening. Okay, it wouldn't be a drive in the Mara at the moment if we didn't stop for you. So many black-bellied bustards around. Black-bellied bustards and pin-tailed wider. All of a sudden, I see them everywhere. Are you bored yet with the sound of the black-bellied bustard calling? Because this chap seems to be quite enjoying himself. And that's always an entertaining thing to witness. Let's wait for one more call. They've become quite a firm standby. You just know whichever road you drive down, you're going to find one. Don't let us down, buddy. Oh, I don't know about you guys, but I never get bored. I never get bored with that. And it's the action that accompanies the sound that I just love. One more time, while I look for lions. Oh, I can hear one calling back in response. It's entertaining. I think it's entertaining anyway. Oh my goodness, it's Megan's first time. It's Megan's first time hearing the black-bellied bustard. My goodness, Megan, we have neglected you. That we haven't shared this special sight with you. Okay, one more time for Megan now. Meg says it's been... Megan says her new favourite bird call. My only deep regret in life, okay, well, one of my deep regrets in life is the fact that the white-bellied bustard doesn't call in reverse and pop and then whistle, descending. I think it would be hilarious. Can you hear another one calling in response one more time? We're going to get one more. King Quad, that is exactly what it sounds like. It sounds very much like a drip, essentially. The book describes it as an explosive pop. They're hilarious. Deadhead Tom, it depends on the kind of weather, obviously, because prevailing wind conditions tend to mess around with it. It doesn't carry that far. Obviously, we've got mics and we can turn up our ambience, we can control a little bit the factors when we listen to something like this, but I can hear... I love it so much. I struggle to talk over it. I find I can hear bustards around about 500, maybe 750 odd yards away, and that's about it. After that, then I don't pick up on the sounds. And of course, we've all got different levels of hearing. Generally, as a safari guide, our hearing tends to be quite good, or at least we're attuned to listening to those sorts of sounds. But I don't know how far the bustards can hear themselves calling. I think probably the same that we can. What do you have to say for yourself, mister? I know what you've got to say for yourself. Well, I couldn't have put it better myself. Shall we move on? I feel as though the bustard has had the last word. Let's go and find these lions, and if we don't find them, we'll come back. Helen! The way that birds keep themselves so clean is that they groom themselves almost constantly. Now, you can imagine it's not just about being quite fastidious. It's really about, for all of them, those feathers are, almost all of them except the ostrich, those feathers are so essential as part of their survival. They need them to be able to fly, and so they take exceptional care of them. So they have what's known as preen glands that secrete a type of oil, preen oil. And what the birds do is they spread it over the wings. It helps to keep them waterproof, and it helps to keep them from getting bogged down in dust and things like that. So they have a preen oil. They also will dust bathe to get rid of the parasites in their feathers. And they'll go and they'll find a nice patch of dust and they'll throw it all over them. It's basically like going to the spa to be exfoliated, or using a pumice stone or something, I don't know, the bird equivalent of exfoliation. They will bath in water. They do go and clean themselves. Vultures are particularly dedicated after they've eaten, and you can imagine after they've eaten rotten meat, they're particularly keen on cleaning their feathers. So vultures are very fastidious. I've made a grievous error in judgment. Let's go around this way. And one of the other things they'll do is known as anting. Now, anting involves going to an ant's nest and basically provoking the ants. And the ants swarm all over the birds, and they release a type of acid that also helps to kill the parasites and keep the feathers bright and shiny clean. So birds are very pedantic. They also shed their feathers. You know, they grow like we lose eyebrows and grow eyebrow hairs or eyelashes constantly. Birds are like that with feathers. I wonder if this person knows something I don't. Remember when I stopped and I looked at the forest and I said I think the lions, or I hope the lions haven't gone there. I think I missed a trick here. I think that person's found the lions. Let's go back that way. They probably saw where they went this morning. I hope that's what they're looking at. I'm going to feel very silly if that's not. But it wouldn't be the first time I've followed someone and discovered that they were not going to an animal sighting or not sitting at an elephant or an animal sighting. The other day we'd been out all day and had several cups of coffee and bottles of water, as you can imagine. Had started to take effect, and I drove away from the cheetah sighting that we were at, and I went to go and hide behind a clump of bushes quite far away, and 3 cars followed me because they thought I'd seen something. It was most unfortunate. What have you seen? Nothing. Please leave me alone. I've been going for 6 hours. Oh man, it was very funny. I laughed afterwards. Chitty bang bang, you. Wait, did I get that name right, or am I just on my own mission today? Chitty kitty bang bang. Kitty kitty bang bang. There we go. You want to know why there's a reason, if there's a reason that the vehicles have no mirrors. There is a very good reason. A very, very good reason. They fell off on the bumpy roads. The vehicles did have mirrors when we first purchased them, but they fell off. One by one by one by one, and then the rest of them were removed. They were not a welcome addition. Apparently we kept forgetting to fold them in, and they kept getting in shot, and then you see the camera and the cameraman, and kind of gave you a behind the scenes glance while having a in front of the scene glance. So it didn't quite work out. So I think that most of them fell off, and I think the rest of them were surreptitiously removed. It's a bit scary though, because we reverse often without being able to we can see now when the covers are up, but when it's raining and we can't see, or when you're in town filling up, doing whatever you happen to be doing, it's a bit nerve-wracking. And I always make sure that we ask the cameraman, or driving between from our camp to Musiara Gate with the motorbikes that overtake. I'm always terrified that I'm going to move away from a pothole or something, and I'm actually going to, so I'm constantly leaning out like that. But the main reason is they fell off. End of story. I'm going to go and find out from the person who was sitting up at the top of the hill if they found the lions, or if I'm mistaken. But while we do that, Brent is getting closer to the Mara River. Perhaps he's even arrived at the Mara River. Let's go and find out from him.
I can actually all the tickets to see if there are lions about, which there often are in this area. But no such luck just yet. But we're arriving at Main North Crossing now. I've invested a lot of time this last week at the river, and I'm hoping for some dividends shortly. I think, ooh, what have we got? What have we got? What have I spotted? No lions visible just yet. And I wonder if those zebras managed to sneak all across. I don't see many zebras down here anymore. But we do have a big flock of swallows by the looks of things. Oh, actually it's a combination run there. There's swallows, martins. Oh, very difficult from this distance to see which martins they are. Why are you sitting on the other side of the river where it makes it hard for us to identify you? Big flock of them there. One of the martins, I'm not 100% sure which one. Okay, let's go check down to Main South. See if there's any sign of Scar and his progeny and girlfriends and what. Maybe some Mara behemoths. Oh, hello, Brian. Brian is asking me about one of my favorite pastimes, which is, of course, fishing. Brian would like to know, what is the biggest fish I've ever caught and where? Well, it depends on what type of fishing, but I'd probably say the biggest fish I've caught on light tackle, not deep sea stuff, was a in the Jumbo buddy. Yeah.
Scarface, I believe he was down by the last crossing point. That is where he's lying down.
Okay, I'll go check Dusty and then I'll come back that way. Okay. Santa Sana.
Okay, karibu.
So what were we talking about? Oh, the biggest fish I've ever caught was in the Iguela Lagoon in Gabon in the Luongo National Park. It was a Cabera snapper of about 54 kilograms, so bigger than Jamie. Was the biggest fish I've caught. I caught it on a popper. It was a very good fish, very big fish. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of a turn around. Let's actually just go see if we see some crocodilians quickly before I head to where Scar is supposed to be schnoozing. Ah, no, the zebra is still there. They haven't crossed yet. So I know where I'm coming tomorrow morning. Okay. Never smile at a crocodile, especially one as big as some of the beasts we get here. Let's have a look. Oh dearie me. Are they all... No one's around. Is everyone in the water today? No one's chilling on the bank. There's a few of them down in the water. I just want to see if there's one out of the water. No crocodiles out of the water today. That's a pity. There's a big one there, though. Whoops. Oh, yeah, that was a strange car. That's a big crocodilian. In the Nile, crocodile. Now, of course, I'm sure a lot of you out there have heard the story about how the elephant got its trunk by Rudyard Kipling on the banks of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo, all beset with fever trees. If you haven't, I suggest you read it. It's a wonderful story. Rudyard Kipling's got some fantastic short animal stories. Okay, well, it's a bit boring here at the river. Let's go see if we can find Scar. James is wondering, do freshwater eels occur in the Mara River? I would say yes. I'm not 100% sure, but there should be spiny eels. Joey, are there any dams on the Mara between it and... No, it doesn't go to the ocean. It goes to Victoria. So then the spiny eel won't. Yes, I'm pretty sure there will be a couple of eel species. More homework for me, James. I will find out, don't worry. But I'm quite certain there might be some eel species. What's an eel in Swahili? Maybe let's ask Josh, our ranger. Joshua, have you ever seen there's a type of fish in the river here, but it's like a snake, but not a catfish. It's like a snake. It's really long and very slimy. Mudfish. No, I think mudfish is a catfish. Eh? No, not a mudfish. An eel. I'll show you a picture when we stop, and you can tell me if you've seen one. Asante. Okay, so there we go. There's a mystery. Now I know for sure that saber-tooth occurs because they get lots of meat. Now, we're going to head towards where Sky is, and while we do that, let's send you back to Jamie while we try to figure out why the gremlins are attacking us.
I found them. So while Brent fights off the gremlins, I found the lions. There's a little bit of an embarrassing confession, but at least I wasn't the only person who did it. We drove past them. We drove straight past them, coming down from the mountain in a place I haven't seen them in months. And obviously I fell into the trap of, stalking. No? Let's just see what's happening here. Maybe they just popped out, because they're still moving, they're not lying down. So maybe I didn't miss them. Maybe they've actually only just come out now. It's going to take us a little while to get into a good place to see them. But also the nice thing about this area is that it's open and we could actually do a proper head count. Now, I mentioned this morning I only could count 16, but it was a tricky area. Oh, it might be, or it could easily be, that I missed one. Aha! Determination sometimes pays off, huh? I think they just popped out now. Oh, and they want to hunt my warthogs that I've got so attached to. I see them every day coming down the mountain. Oh well, that'll teach me. I say hello to these warthogs, I wave at them every time I drive down here and back up here. It's my own silly fault. Okay, we're going to stop here, and there's a reason we're going to stop here, and that's because the warthogs are responding or starting to look at me rather than the lions, or at least they are distracted by me. Now that's something that I don't want, so we're going to stop here and let them relax. At the moment the lions are too far away, but what I don't want is a situation where the warthogs are so busy watching me that the animal catches them. You know, warties, there the lions are off to the right. It's mostly the cubs to me that look interested. Let's just have a quick look. See if we can work out if there's... No, the lionesses are interested as well. The cubs have got so big that there are times when they're almost indistinguishable from the adults. There's definitely the adult lionesses there as well, and one cub on the left. And there's intense focus from their side, or at least from the lioness on the right. Hey you guys, so this is where you disappeared off to. Remember I spoke about, oh look at this cub, so well behaved. Oh yes, good little cubs. Keeping low. That instinct is now pretty strong, but I think the cubs have just given the game away. Really, they do look very interested, but I think the cubs just gave them away. If we look at the warthogs, the behavior of the warthogs, they trotted away, and they were looking in the direction of the lions. I think they don't want to go too far in case the lions disappear. That obviously is going to put them at even more risk. But yes, you are right. The lions are very, very interested in those warthogs. Let's go back to them and we can observe their body language. The lions are very interested in those warthogs. And there's a good reason for that. They are so hungry. Oh, look at the young male cubs. Let's make our aim for today to try and figure out what collection of males and females we have here. Within the Angama group. There's 2 young males there, 3 young males. No, you are not going to help your mom's case. You really are not. I would strongly suggest leaving it to the professionals. It's a difficult age. It's a very, very difficult age for not so much for the cubs, but for the mothers of the cubs, because the cubs want to hunt, they want to help, they want to learn, and they're hungry, which makes them even more desperate, but they just don't have the skill or the technique needed. These lions have just popped out. I promise you, I'm not that blind. I didn't miss 16 or 17 lions sitting out in the open like this. I'm not quite at that level yet. Warthogs are moving away. But feeding, heads down, which isn't, for them, it isn't ideal. It's not the mothers that I've got to know. I see there's no piglets here. So it's not the mothers that we've got to know, or I wave at every time I come down the mountain. Off they go. They know there's something not right. Is that a lion on the left of the termite mound? What is that? Hold on. It might not have been the warthogs. No, it's a lion. It is a lion. Oh, there's 2 lions. No, that's a pile of dung. So Arch, if we go a bit to the left of these guys, all the way to the left, and between, yeah, keep going. There. I didn't see her. She was the one who obviously was initiating this whole process, and she must have been creeping up on those warthogs. Okay, warthogs know what's going on. They've moved far enough away now that I feel comfortable with repositioning. So we can actually move, and we can get a little bit closer to the lions. Strawhead, you're right. I think that's why we haven't seen them here in so long, to be honest. Short grass is not good for hunting. They can use the terrain to their advantage, but short grass does not help their case. And the grass here is okay, but not really. But further up they will stand absolutely no chance unless they use the ridge of the land. Hi, how are you? Hi, guys. The lady just told me there's lions over there. Oh. So we haven't been around here, or I haven't been around here since there was the dead hippo and all those vultures. Oh, I just love the number of lions in this pride. Virginia, you say, is it the Angama pride, the pride of lions that are famous for digging up warthogs out of their warthog burrows? If they are, then I am not familiar with that reputation. I have seen them digging warthogs out of their warthog burrows. So it is something that they do. I have also seen lots of other lions do it as well, so I'm not sure if it's something unique to them in the slightest. I know that Brent had the lions way on the other side of the river digging out the warthog in an area where there's much softer sand. I think here it depends on where the Angamas happen to be, whether or not they're going to dig. Okay, are we going to get a 1-by-1 walk? Because if we are, that would really help us keep track of the males and females. Let's have a look at the cub making her way towards the lioness, first of all. Let's see if we can get a quick... I'm talking nonsense. Never mind, that's a lioness. My mistake. Silly Jamie. Head count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, optical illusion. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I've missed one somewhere. There were definitely 16 when I counted this morning. Shame. Little ones are so hungry. And so are the lionesses. That warthog, even though three of the lionesses had a warthog each, it wasn't a particularly big meal. And one went hungry completely. It's actually a question that I really think we should be able to give you a properly solid answer to. In terms of how many lions there are in the Mara, remember the Mara is a very big place and we only traverse a part of it. We move around the triangle in the Mara National Reserve, and within that we have 160,000 hectares that we can drive about on. Within that 160,000 hectares, there's probably over 150 lions, possibly even more. And then, of course, there's also the conservancies. So we don't drive around the conservancies, but there's a huge amount of land on the outskirts of these two reserves that are totally open, and the lions are there as well. So this whole area is dotted with reserves, essentially. So I'm not sure exactly how many lions there are in the Mara, but what I'll do is I'll try and find out for you. Obviously, I won't be able to give you an exact, accurate amount. The Mara in total, I'll have to speak to one of the researchers. Okay, we're going to sit patiently with the Angamas for the rest of the day. I don't have plans on moving anywhere else. However, I did tell you that we'd be joined by our crew in South Africa, so while we sit with lions, let's head across to Rolf with something even larger and possibly even more intimidating.
Welcome to the afternoon game drive in the Kruger National Park in the Sabi Sands concession. My name is Rolf Kirsten, and we have Avian on the camera. Folks, today it is a very hot afternoon. It's 37 degrees Celsius and around 95 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's been a very slow start to the morning. The afternoon, what am I saying? But we've just driven along, and once again we've picked up on a group of elephants. Now, please join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. We'd love you to get involved and to keep it as interactive as possible. Now, we've just spotted these elephants in a very similar area as to where we did yesterday. It's on Rebecca's Road, and we're heading towards Treehouse Dam. And once again, in that midday heat, it seems that they might also be heading down for a drink, because when they are on the move in the heat like this, it generally means that they're heading for water. They are feeding a little bit as they go, and there's a couple more still coming through that are going to cross the road just shortly. It looks like a rather large herd that is coming through here, and we positioned ourselves nicely in the shade because we're also feeling the heat. And I believe just up front is the female Fang. She's got that. She's just crossed the road, folks, and she's headed into the thicket. I don't know if Avian can pick up on her there. There you can maybe just see her fang-like tusk that was going through the thickets there. So she's now in a nice big herd. I'm not too sure or clued up too much on her history, but I do know that everybody has got a little bit of a liking to that female Fang, and a very distinguishable tusk that is growing very much downward from there. Okay, folks, while we carry on here, Tristan has got some elephants that are mud bathing.
We do indeed, Ralph. It is a great way to get back into the swing of things by arriving down to Gari Dam and having Ellie's having the best time ever by being in the mud and rolling around and giving themselves a really good mud bath. Now, as Ralph mentioned, my name is Tristan. On camera today I've got Fergus, and it's an absolute pleasure to have Fergus on the back of the vehicle since I haven't seen him in quite some time. Now remember, this is live, it is interactive, so it's always great to hear from all of you. Hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat if you'd like to get hold of us. But this is the best thing to have. Normally when we have a hot weather like this, it's nice to have the Ellies around, and they do make their way towards watery points. And Gari Dam at the moment is just a small kind of little wallow effectively, but there's quite a lot of mud just on the edges and fringes of the water, and it's the perfect place for Ellies to come down and really have a good mud bath. And the reason why they're doing this is just to cool themselves down. At the end of the day, when it's hot like it is today, they're creating a layer on their body of cool mud that is going to just protect them a little bit against that sun. It's going to cool down the blood in the ears, and if they've got any parasites on them, it allows them to then find somewhere to rub up on and pull any of those parasites that they have off. Now you can see that female, she's really is flapping her ears quite extensively and quite rapidly, and the reason for that is basically just to cool herself down. And especially when they've sprayed a bit of mud or water, they will do this because that coolness of the mud and water on the ears as they flap is going to just cool the blood much quicker than if it dries out and it creates that layer of mud on there. So that's why she's flapping quite a bit. You'll also notice that they're right out in the sun at the moment. You would think after they finished mud wallowing, because it looks like the majority of them are done and are finished with their bath that they've had, you would think that they would start to move off into the shade. But after a bit of rain that we've had and you know, this area flooding with a bit of water, there's a lot of nutritious plants that have just suddenly grown, and so they're sitting there, and you can see they're delicately removing all little bits of vegetation by using those trunks and those two little fingers, and they just kind of roll around and they find exactly what they're looking for, and then they pluck them up. Now there might be a little vehicle that might get in the way of our shot, so I do apologize. I think Tax is going to just pull around. There we go, that's okay. So Tax has just moved off, but they are just trying to get all of those little nutritious growths of herbaceous plants or any little trees that might be growing and any nutritious grasses that are coming up. So it's a perfect place to feed, and if they get hot, then well, they can come back to the water again just now and cool themselves down. But it is amazing to have Eddies around, and I'm so excited that Fang is back. I know a number of you let me know over the course of the week when James found her back on Djuma, and the fact that Ralph has got her this afternoon is absolutely wonderful, and it's great to hear that she's in good condition and that she's moving around. So thoroughly happy with the fact that she is back and around. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to reposition us slightly. The herd was all swimming and mud bathing, and I didn't really want to try and disturb them too much. I wanted to have a situation where we could try and see them mud bathing, but now that they've stopped mud bathing, I just want to go around so we can see the rest of the herd. No, there's some more behind us coming in. That's actually fantastic news. So I'm just going to pull off here, and there's a whole massive herd that is just joining from behind that haven't been down to the water yet, and so they're going to want to come down. And if we position ourselves right here, we should get a perfect view of all of these elephants coming together. And it's amazing to watch Ellies when they come to water. Look at how they start to break out into a run. They get so excited about the fact that they can get close to water and they can have a mud wallow and they can cool off in these hot afternoons, and so they get all kind of fidgety and lots of noise as well. And look at the reaction now. You'll see these two herds will greet one another. All the babies are being grouped on both sides, are being grouped together. Unfortunately, there's a few warthogs that are also being chased. So you can see there's a couple of warthogs in amongst everybody that are wondering probably what all this chaos is about. But babies are all being grouped together. Herds are merging, and they're busy kind of figuring out who's who. Look at them all coming down together. How cool is this? What a way to get back to work. This is so cool. And everybody into the water as quick as they can. Lily, I didn't hear the question exactly, but I think you said you love how Ellie's, I didn't hear the last part, how chilled they are. Social. There we go. Thank you, Ferg. So yes, that's the best part about it, is when you get these elephant herds and how social they are and how they kind of meet and they greet and everybody interacts with one another. It is the coolest thing to see, especially when you get two herds that come together, because there's a lot of communication that goes on, and you'll find that they'll go and they'll try and kind of interact with one another. A lot of the time it is parts of the same herd, so you'll get a situation where some of these members have fractured off a herd, and they are actually related in some way, and so they see each other, there's a bit of a greeting, and then they spread out again. But look at how they've lined up. Everybody's gotten themselves into a situation where they've got their own little bit of space. The problem is that if ellies have been mud wallowing already here, there's not going to be really any water that hasn't been muddied up by them wallowing and going into the water, and so they're all trying to find a space where they can actually drink. So a lot of the little ones are trying to find areas of water that is not all muddied up. You can see they use their trunk and they just kind of flail it about on top of the surface tension just to break that, to get to the cleaner water underneath. But it is so cool to see. You can see the other herd that was peacefully grazing before the stampede arrived. They've just started going up the hill and away, and they're starting to go into the shade to go and feed, and now the rest of them seem to be following on. A very quick drink and a little quick spray of the ears to cool down, and everybody else is off and moving. And I believe there are more that are arriving behind us. Oh, hello. It looks like all of our gentlemen, well, one gentleman at least, and a female with a little one that are also going to join the fray fairly shortly. He's a fairly young bull, but a beautiful individual. He's got really nice, big, thick tusks. You know, typical bull swagger that they've got when they move down towards water. They kind of bounce on their legs, and then the little one that's running to try and keep up. But this is absolutely wonderful. How amazing is this? We had a really dry, lean spell with elephants in the Sabi Sands for a while in Djuma, and it was tough. We didn't see too many of the herds, and it seems as though in the last few weeks they've started to come back. Since the rains have arrived and fallen, so the elephants are starting to move back into this area, and it's such a delightful way to start an afternoon by coming down to a waterhole and just having this many elephants all around us. I'd actually like to know how many there are. Maybe some of you that are watching on the dam cam that can get some screenshots of the whole herd will be able to tell us exactly how many are here. I would surmise that there's probably between 25 and 30. Now, I believe a lot of you are saying that this is a great welcome back surprise. It is. It's probably one of the best. Outside of Thandi and her cubs showing themselves this afternoon, this is probably one of the things I'm most looking forward to seeing. So I always love spending time with ellies, particularly here at Djuma. We get ellies that are very relaxed, and we get to spend time with them in close proximity, and they all kind of come around the vehicle. And it's just the most magic thing to be a part of these herds and to listen to them and watch all the little social nuances that they have in amongst the grouping. It really is a special thing to do. So I'm super excited to be back and to be seeing this straight away. It's one of the best ways, like I say, to start a working cycle. Hopefully it will be a good sign of things to come.
What I missed most while I was in the mire.
So there we go. Ferg is just telling me now that this is something that he missed the most while he was in the mire. One of the things that he missed was this proximity to elephants and the sheer kind of intimacy of the sightings that we have here. So we get in amongst all the ellies, and we're able to spend a lot of time with them and follow them around, and it really is just the most wonderful way to spend time, is amongst these big gentle giants. The other thing is about a lot of the ellies here is because we're in a system where, you know, they aren't heavily poached, they're not really persecuted, and we're as respectful as we can be about them. They tend to be quite relaxed, most of the herds, and we get really kind of in amongst them, and they really are very relaxed with our presence, which is quite pleasant, and it allows for us to have these incredible sightings of them. Now you can see the herd that came down rather quickly are leaving very quickly. Now they're probably going to push off towards Buffelshoek. There's the little tiny baby at the back. You're going to have to keep up, little one. It's probably hard work in this weather to try and keep up, but they're going to probably head up to some of the bigger water points up north, maybe to have a better drink than the muddy water that they've had here. Now, while I admire our ellies and just spend a little bit longer here because it's so wonderful to be back with them, let's go back across to Brent in the Masai Mara with something that the area is very famous for.
Yes, we are with the zebra. Now, he looks okay from this angle. I'm just going to try and move on. You can see him moving his leg. I'd say he's got away from a crocodile, and he's just turned, unfortunately. Let's try just get a different angle on him. You can actually see there's a big chunk of skin that's opened up, but why I think it's a crocodile, I can see what looked like other spots where the teeth might have embedded into him, but he keeps taking us roundy, so I'm just trying to see it. And now we've checked where Scar was, but he has vanished. He is no longer there from where he was this morning. So it was right here. So I was sort of wondering, lions, can't you see this injured zebra? Because he does look quite sore when he moves. Okay. How's that, Jar? Don't you turn around before we get a chance to zoom, Mr. Zebra. So there we go. Now, can't really see those other spots where it looks like a croc gripped him, but that's on his other shoulder. Yeah, that looks very sore. Shame, poor Mr. Zebra. Oh, there's a spurring lapwing behind him. But, yeah, it does look quite sore. It'll definitely impede his movement a little bit, which might make him an easier target for the lions. But I think definitely looks like he got away from a crocodile. Poor chap. Shame. So I think I've got one more spot to check where the lions might be. Andrea, you are 100% correct. That zebra will probably end up as dinner or breakfast or lunch or tea snack or a brunch snack for the Paradise Pride. Are you guys thinking about crossing? Do you not see what happened to him? Maybe not. I think there's going to be a bit of a greeting up there. Looks like the herd jogging in. Quite nice with the little puffs of dust coming from their feet. Hello, zebras. Oh, no, they've stopped to have a look at us. Hi, Lily, who's... Oh, there's a bit of a zebra argument in the background. Who's 6 years old. Lily would like to know if the lions don't eat him, will he survive? Maybe, Lily, maybe. Animals are so strong when it comes to surviving from what we would think are such terrible, terrible injuries. But they are very good at surviving. So we don't know whether he will survive or not. We'll definitely come back and check tomorrow to see if he has made it through the night. There's a little zebra having a drink. Okay, I think I've got one last spot to check for the Paradise Pride and the Musketeer boys. It is a favourite spot of theirs. I have seen them in that area quite a few times. Oh, but it sounds like all the way down in South Africa, my very dear friend Tristan is having a stormer of a start to his afternoon safari.
So it seems as though we are not destined to leave Gari Dam this afternoon, because as the elephants disappeared, now so a tall, lanky giraffe has come down, and I'm hoping that it is going to drink. At the moment, it's kind of just sussing out the situation, and giraffe are very cautious drinkers. You'll find they'll come down to water, they'll look around. You can see the elephant in the background actually just going up over the dam wall there, and so they'll come and they'll look and they'll just make sure that there isn't some sort of predator in the area. At the end of the day, when they drink, they often are in a very compromised position. They splay their legs right out, their head is down, it's difficult for them to get back up to stand, and a number of giraffe have been killed around water points, and so they're very nervous about it. They check, they make 100% sure if the coast is clear before they'll then start to have a little bit of a drink. Now it seems as though it's going to drink in a different place. I was hoping that it would turn and drink side onto us, but it seems as though it's going to drink from a small puddle in the background. The problem is there's some little, not little, rather large ellies coming down, and so they might push this giraffe off from the water. There we go, typical cheeky ellies. They often do this, and there you can see a nice gallop from the giraffe. That's very cool. Not often we get to see them running, so always very nice to see how the locomotion works of a giraffe and to see how their legs work when they need to try and run anywhere. Now this is just a splinter off that herd that we first had when we arrived. They were down behind the dam wall feeding, and so they're going to come in and have a little bit of a drink and a cool down themselves. At the end of the day, they probably haven't had water just yet. They were still feeding, and so it's now time just to cool down a little bit. You can see the little ones do have a bit of water on their ears, and so does that big one actually. So maybe they've come from Twin Dam side. The trunk itself is quite dry. and the feet are dry, which means I don't think they have a situation where they've been to water right now. It's probably from earlier in the afternoon. Now, Palin, you're wondering how many herds I think there are in the Kruger Park system. Palin, that's very difficult question to answer because the numbers on elephants are not 100% at the moment. The last census was a few years ago, and so we don't actually know how many herds there are. Also, it's subject to water availability, food availability, because as water dries out, so elephants are being pushed into areas with constant water, and the herds then grow. They'll then dissipate when there's more water and food around, and so, it depends on the time of the year. But I can tell you that there's believed to be between 16 and 18,000 elephants within the Kruger Park system, and that would compromise if you think that most of our elephant herds are between 15 and 30. It means that there is a number of herds within that 18,000. It's really a large number, so a lot of herds spread all the way throughout. Now, while our two massive meandering beasts move off in the form of giraffe and our elephants, I believe Jamie Patterson has found, well, the biggest of those that have sharp claws and teeth.
And they're hunting, and she's just crept all the way across a massively deep lugger, about to use her claws and teeth potentially on the wildebeest that are up ahead of her. So this is as far as we can go. This is as far as we can follow her. But it might be quite fascinating to witness a hunt from this distance, because we'll get to watch and see how they worked. Well, I was going to say work together as a team, but to be honest with you, she's all on her own. Now, she's got a real problem here. She's stalking these wildebeest, but there's an entire herd of very sharp-eyed impala up and to the left of her. I would be shocked if she manages to get close enough to chase those wildebeest. On this flat, open area, the grass is so short. Okay, Megs, it's your call as well. This is as close as I can get. So she's going to run all the way up the hill. But otherwise, yes, I think if you're happy, go for it. Another absolutely gorgeous evening in the Masai Mara, and we've got a scene from the kind of perspective that we don't often get to share with all of you. So what you are watching is happening right here and right now in the Masai Mara of Kenya, where a hungry lioness has just broken away from the rest of her pride and is sneaking all the way up a mountain towards an unsuspecting group of wildebeest. So there's some wildebeest, there's some buffalo, and there's some impala antelope as well. But she's all on her own. The other lionesses haven't come to help her. They've moved a little bit closer to where she is, but they haven't come to offer any support. Now, what you're watching is completely live, which means that you can send through any questions that you have in the comments section below. And it's quite extraordinary that technology exists such that we can share these amazing moments that are happening all the way in Kenya with all of you wherever you happen to be across the globe. Our lioness now has to use the land to her advantage. The grass is very, very short. There's no cover for her at all. And I suspect she has embarked on a mission that is not going to succeed. I know she is very far away, so let me just explain a little bit about why she is where she is and why we are where we are. But first, an introduction. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Archie is on camera with me. And in front of us is an impassable river system. It is absolutely massive. There is nothing we can do. So I'm going to keep watching her, but essentially we can't really do anything. We can't get any closer to her, not without running serious risk of injury in trying to drive across there. But I have something else to show you. And remember how I said that she was without support? She is there. She is all on her own. But the two lionesses off to my right did actually get up, and they did move a little bit closer to see what her plans were and to see whether or not it was worth their energy in trying to go and catch her. Now this morning, this particular group of lions, this particular pride of lions, caught 3 warthog piglets, and unfortunately for them, they've got 13 cubs to feed. There's 4 lionesses. Warthog piglets just didn't go very far at all, so they are really, really hungry. For the moment, she's lying down. So she's lying down over there, and she hasn't crept all that much closer. William from Australia, you say that you are loving this broadcast. Well, I'm really glad that we could share it with you, William. Watching all the way in Australia. It is very special that we're able to do this. And of course, what we try and do is give you, whether it's animals hunting or whether it's animals with youngsters, whatever it happens to be, we try and share these moments with you because it all ties together and tells a story of the lives of these animals. She stopped. There's no way. There is... Oh, hold on. The second lioness and the third lioness have now moved down. There they go. They're moving. Yeah, she's moving the one. The one's already down. Let's just wait a little bit longer to see how this works its way out. So we can't obviously now see them. My head's in the way for a start. But also, we can't get any closer down there. These lionesses are now going to walk up just along this path. Excuse me. Over there. There we go. There comes the lioness now. Now, let's watch how this plays out. Because as I said, we don't often get to watch a hunt from this kind of perspective. And it gives us a really sort of broad perspective on the way that the animals work together. Now, Tyler, you're watching in Japan and you say that you really are enjoying this very much. I'm thrilled to hear it, Tyler. There we go. Our lioness moving up. I've lost a lion though. I'm sure there were 2 on the right of me. Now I can't see any and I can only see one over there. Maybe one of them stopped somewhere down there to drink. Or... No. One of them's definitely gone missing. So I wonder if she's not sneaking all the way around to try and get behind the wildebeest. It is possible. It'd be a bit of a stretch to try and get all the way up that mountain and around them, but it is possible. Karen, you say you know that it's bad, but you really hope that they get to catch them. I don't think it's bad at all. The lions can't go to a grocery store. They don't buy pre-packed meat. They need to eat. And I'll show you, I understand, of course, that you feel sympathy with the animal that's being hunted, but let me show you something that might help you feel a little bit better about the entire situation while we wait for these lions to move up. I'll show you something that will bring those of you that are sad, worried about the lions hunting, a little bit of comfort. So, off to my right... there are some very, very expectant little faces. Not the people in the car. I'm talking about the cubs over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And there's actually 13 in total in this pride that we know of. And that they're waiting for Mom to bring them some dinner. That's what they're after. That's what they're thinking about. And now bear in mind, of course, that 8 out of the 10 times that Mom tries to get them dinner, possibly even 9 out of the 10 times that Mom tries to get them dinner in these sorts of conditions, she's not going to manage it. And so, what we're showing you is not a kill. What we're showing you is a struggle for survival. Donna, you say that lions are just magnificent. Oh, there we go. Now we've got 2 that have popped out, moving up the path. I agree. Donna, lions are truly magnificent animals, and more than that, they are animals that have the most extraordinary social structure and bonds between the individuals. It's impossible to watch a lion pride interacting with each other, bearing in mind that it is a family unit, and not see just how much affection they have for each and every single pride member. That, of course, in turn means that they work together seamlessly when it means time to get down to business. Now, she's watching the lioness that's close to the wildebeest. There is an additional factor here. There are three lionesses that I can see. There are 4 lionesses in this pride. One of them is missing, and I wonder where she's gone. And I wonder, as I always do when I watch something like this, is just how much these lions have planned it out. Has she been gone a lot longer than I realized, sneaking around? Are these lionesses just waiting for her to burst out from behind the animals? I don't know. I can tell you, though, that I think that this hunt is going to take a very, very long time. In this case, the lionesses really cannot afford to rush things. They're very hungry, and once they scare the animals here, if they don't manage to catch one, everything around here is going to be on high alert. So this is going to be a true game of patience. And I think what that means for all of you, having introduced you to this particular pride of lionesses and their struggle for dinner, I think what that means for us is that we say goodbye to you for now, and we say from Archie and myself a very big thank you. But if anything does change, stay tuned, because we will go live with more amazing stories from the Masai Mara in Kenya.